And a stat stick would be lovely. I mean, it makes noise, which is not ideal. That's just when swung? Oh, never mind. That's perfect. +3 intelligence and gets rid of that cold vulnerability that I've been going on and on about this entire time. So that is just about as good of a stat stick as one could hope for at the moment here. And there is our temple. We do have a Makhleb altar. We could again go with like Ash if we wanted to be a little bit different, but let's go with the tried and true, the classic Djinni choice here, and see how Makhleb does for us this evening, shall we? We probably won't have too much use for the first two abilities that we're given here, or at least the active abilities, that is. But as soon as we get a bit further along, can start calling in some demon friends, that could be the difference maker. And we have poison resistance, so we're okay on the Venom Bolt side. I wouldn't say confident by any stretch of the imagination, but let us again just consistently mess up which spell I'm trying to cast. I feel like I'm used to having IMB and Prism on opposite squares than what they're currently sitting on. Ooh, Erica, you're still around. I probably should just leave. Oh, okay, never mind. At least Erica is taken care of. Fantastic. And then we can just place down a few more prisms to hopefully take care of most of our upcoming friends. So hoping, yeah, with our fire resistance, we're in a fairly decent position for dealing with any kind of steam. We can handle the heat, and so we stay in the kitchen, and that is beautiful. Not too shabby whatsoever. Nice bit of experience bump from being able to take care of Erica this early on. That's why I'm always generally tempted to try... Oh, two-headed ogre. That's not as tenable. But I do always try to take care of the strong enemies that we face earlier than expected, just because if you do manage to squeak on by, it generally leaves you in a very nice position moving forward. Okie dokie. Probably should just play it safe and stare dance a bit there. Again, a little bit on the lazy side, but what else is new? Manticore as well. Game is really giving us no breaks here. Oh, shoot. I was hoping that you'd actually step into our danger zone there, my Chimera-esque friend. Oh gosh, where did you go? Never want to suddenly find yourself without a clear path to your enemies here. But we'll just continue to lay down the mines. Mine of mine. Fantastic. And shouldn't have too many issues with a big old pack of kobolds. That is all completely above board, especially with the poison resistance. That is fantastic. Shouting is a very useful thing in DCSS. It has its niche scenarios for sure. I'm always very happy when you do find those edge cases where something like that becomes the pivotal difference. Potentially, I was gonna say if we played more stealth characters, but that's not exactly accurate. But okay, I want to put these down, and then I can kind of just bounce our two-headed friend back and forth with IMB, and that should have left us good to go, and indeed we do see that to be the case. Let's start training some fighting. Maybe spellcasting can come back on temporarily here. There's nothing else we're really too interested in at the moment. Again, Invo might be a little more useful later on. Evo, of course, we're just always likely to try to shoehorn in at some point. Hello, my yak friends. Again, Prism and IMB should be a fairly effective combination against any pack of normal speed monsters, so that is beautiful. If we didn't already have the leather armor, then probably the Steam Dragon scales would have been a nice find for us as well, but fortunately, we're lucky enough that that is not a necessity for us this evening. And not too bad. Oh, looks like an ice cave, but it's not an ice cave. Interesting. Do have our fair share of cold enemies here, and probably just gonna actually step out of there before the centaur wrecks us too much, so it just continually shaves down on our remaining health. And now where did you go? Oof. We're gonna try and dodge through all the walls here so that the centaur doesn't have a clear line of fire for as long as possible. And that pretty much does the trick. Summon forest. Interesting. Can you see me no matter where we stand here? I keep dodging around a little bit, hoping to change things. So it requires an open space. Spirit of the forest will be called. Trees will awaken, deal damage to nearby enemies. Interesting. And I'm curious, does this also work on existing trees? Because if so, Lair could become a fantastic spot for us. You know, let's try to put down a couple of prisms here. Fantastic. Again, just risking a little bit of life and limb, but nothing we can't handle. And that should hopefully do it for the main challenges of this floor. And speaking of Lair, there's our entrance. I had a sneaking suspicion that our welcoming party that we ran across might have had that guarded here, so that's perfect. And let's just be a little bit cautious as we lose a bit more health than I might like. Though, of course, that's largely due to my own casting, so nothing to be too panicked about there. Ooh, and we're very lucky to not be cold vulnerable, but apparently you still pack quite a wallet, my friend. Yikes. Didn't really want to use my resistance potion this early, but I think I need to do something here to try and save our own skin. I guess the other option, charming, is at a 50%. That might have actually been the slightly safer option, but let's tell you to retreat that way, please, my friend. No, it's fine. Just keep heading that way. I don't mind. I'm totally okay with it. So yeah, we wasted our resistance potion. Not the end of the world. Still happy to just get out in one piece at this point in time. And then I'm kind of want to wait here until our frostworm comes back. But they're of course making it a little bit difficult and not showing their face. Ooh, and Harold. I don't think I'd like to face you. As much as I talk a big game about trying to face uniques, you're one that's a little bit on the nasty side, especially with your harpoon. If we do that, then you'll walk into it, right? Yeah, we hear our explosion. Definitely got a nice hit off. So we just try to break out of the net. There's said harpoon. But again, it's why I'm being a little bit careful with our fulminant prisms. Because very likely to get ourselves into trouble. Where can I safely drop a prism? Probably nowhere, really. There we go. Find a nice corner to hide in, and then of course you show up again. Are you actually vulnerable to fire? You're not. You're just not resistant to it. But some forests can also summon water under you, so it's very useful as a flying character. Okay, good to know. Thanks for the heads up. So yeah, we couldn't use it here because we're not in an open space for sure. And yikes. Ooh, that's actually not even what I meant to do. Casting the wrong spells once again. Well, let's just hopefully get lucky one more time here with our 50-50 flips. Fantastic. And if you could fight our orc friend, oof, I was hoping that you'd be a little easier to deal with. I mean, potentially. Does this do enough damage? About to find out, shall we? Very close to enough damage, so we risk it with another cast of IMB. Unfortunately, we're able to take that son of a gun out. Hate to betray a friend like that. Definitely leaves a sour taste in our mouth, but needs must. And definitely, again, just happy to get out of there in one piece because things have been rough here this evening. Let's try to mitigate some of that roughness by going through our consumables here once again. We at least get heal wounds ID'd, so that's another great source of anti-panic. And we'll see how it goes, shall we? I get very spoiled anytime I play Djinni, because I just love being able to endlessly spam every ability at your disposal. I mean, obviously there's a whole lot of implicit risk in that process, but it generally works out okay for us. So we just continue to blast away here. Destroyed the vampire. Did somebody blast a wand? I feel like that was not me who actually did the heavy lifting there at the very end of the fight, but still lovely to see. And oof, it's almost a shame that we've already found ourselves with a very nice set of armor, because actually it ends up being a moot point, but whenever we get troll leather, I'm always very tempted to make the swap just because of how stupidly powerful regeneration is on a Djinni. But I guess fortunately we don't have to make those hard decisions here this evening. And there's a weird amount of two-headed ogres wandering about the dungeon, which fortunately this time around we're not complaining about whatsoever, because we're well suited to take care of them, and so they end up being just a wonderful little source of experience. But still slightly panic-inducing, and there we go. There's the troll leather that makes our life a little bit difficult. I mean, sure, it's always nice to have a problem where you have too many great things, but in this case, it's definitely still just a little bit of a bummer. I think the big issue for me there is just that, as I often iterate on these streams, I am not a decision-making person. At least when it comes to trivial decisions or things like video games, I suffer from a severe case of analysis paralysis when it comes to any kind of decision making. That's why anytime I play board games, you probably want to pad the estimated time to complete by an extra at least 50%, if not just double it, because chances are I'm going to be staring at all my pieces for far longer than what most people would argue necessary or is necessary. But analysis paralysis is a serious condition that affects so many of us out there. So heart and souls, heart and mind, something goes out to all the poor souls that suffer such as I. Interesting. I always really liked this gauntlet setup. I'd like to survive up until this stage, get an artifact necklace. If I have paralysis of your analysis for more than 4 hours, see your doctor. Exactly. Gotta look out for all those poor souls out there. Even a death scarab is slightly terrifying if they manage to get in, but let's try it out. I am hard pressed to say no to a gauntlet here. Even if it's not one that is especially well set up for us. And so, yeah, we actually want to put a prism down there. Beautiful, takes care of the periphery beetle. And fantastic. Death scarabs, no problem. Next up, a bunch of corrosion, hey? We don't have corrosion resistance, but we can cheese this just a little. Again, if I remember my key presses appropriately. And we'll just keep prisming to our little heart's content. Beautiful. And let's grab one of these just in case we desperately wish to see it, though not likely to be the case. Then we have to get through 2 more rooms in order to get to that amulet. I would like to try to do so here, I believe. I feel like I read something in the release notes. Reapers changed somehow, right? Yes, they drag the defender backwards. Yikes. Anything that puts you out of position is very likely to be a problematic issue. But can just check in on our damage here. I was hoping that the acrobat effect would let us get that step away from you, friend. Unfortunately, we just don't have great space. There we go. Because that's what we needed to just try to keep that bad boy buffered, you know, held at arm's length as much as we can. Holy moly. A little bit closer than I'd like. Of course, we even had to waste a health potion, which is not something I'm very happy to see this early on. But okay, we have so much fire resistance. We do have to be cognizant of just the straight up damage. 13s and 6s, 20 from the Hell Hog. It adds up for sure. But as soon as we clear a little bit of an opening, then IMB will just keep that safe distance for the rest of the encounter. So let's hopefully kill some bats immediately. Fantastic. And then, no problem, taking care of the rest of you. Holy. What do we get? Oh, corrode and willpower minus? That's a yikes. Doesn't really get us that much benefit. Harm is always interesting. To this day, we've just had that one run where I've used harm to any meaningful capacity. And then the last section here does have a scroll. It's all ice enemies, which is, you know, terrifying in its own right. 30 cold damage is a lot. Too much, one could argue, and they'd be very correct to do so. I mean, it's probably not worth it, right? One thing we could do, it's base G over here. Do I have any of those on me? I do not. My cold resist armor saved me from the simulacrums. It at least changes this from a 0% chance of survival to a potentially, it's possible, crazier things have happened. Again, it's just largely getting past that first turn. I'm slightly worried about this son of a gun because they wouldn't get pushed back from the IMB, but now that they've cleared up, Hydra is also definitely a problem. 7 times. That cold damage is absurd. I'm tempted to do it. We do have a resistance potion. We did replenish that. So if we wanted to be extra safe, that's probably the right call. So let's break this into 2 categories. There are 2 paths that we could take here. It's the alternate realities of the coin flip. In one path, I just jump in and go nuts. And the other one, potions of resistance. In the first, likely we're okay, just keeping everyone pushed back. Fortunately, simulacrums are low health, so that's our one saving grace. On the flip side, the resistance, do I care that much if it feels wasted? Not at the moment, but potentially later on when we're in desperate need of one of the resistances. But let's do it just to be completely on the safe side. And again, yeah, didn't end up being especially necessary, but let's pretend that wasn't the case. And more importantly, let's see if it was worth it. We just picked up this scroll here. Scroll of Summoning is okay. It's not the get out of jail free card that I need against the Minotaur here, just because I'm slightly concerned, dependent on how this encounter goes. Ooh. Staff of Ledizig. Fire and Earth, eh? Well, I guess just fire resistance, and it is Earth themed, so not super helpful for us at the moment. But hopefully there's some other good treasures in there. I think I need to change my macros because I'm having some severe problems accidentally casting the wrong spells. But once we get to these pillars, what we can start to do is lay some traps for our friend. None of it goes especially well, but still better than nothing. And IMV plus the prison is a lot of damage to kind of rain down immediately upon our bovine friend's head, so that's fantastic. And what did we get out of this? Condenser Vein is huge. Lightning Rod is pretty nice. All the wands are obviously just generally helpful regardless. And maybe this amulet is regen? Amulet is regen. That is fantastic. You know what? I will not take the ring mail of cold resistance, seeing as how we already have that on our leather armor, as well as some other periphery stuff. Oh wait, never mind. Where's our cold resistance from? Right. Our falchion, so never mind. I will pick that up.